Okay, we're going to see ultimate project management stuff. So this is going to be the ultimate video. We'll see a lot of things. I'll see a summary of what we're going to learn by end of this session. All right, we have already seen this in architectures in various environments. Means how many boxes we have, how many servers we have, then how many machines we usually have, and then right, and JVMs, JVM sizes, everything that we have already seen. We just browse through it. Then what are the environments that we are supporting? This also we have already seen, like non-production and production environments, and what is the structure of all these things. The daily activities is one thing that we're going to look at now. The daily activities and the roles and responsibilities usually merge with each other. So we will see a slight distinction between what's the difference between daily activities and then the roles and responsibilities. Then we look at the support models that we have, like on-site, offshore, how many people are there at offshore and how many you have on-site. What is the location of your on-site team, offshore team, all that side. Then we will see the most important part. What is project management? What are the various things in project management? Who actually does the project management? How you are involved in the project management? Then we'll see the commonly used word change management. Then there are some confusing words like incident management, problem management, ticketing management, all these things together. So we will see all these things. We'll get clarity on all of them. Alright, so let's go ahead. The first thing, the environments. This is what we are looking at. The environments we have already seen. You have non-production, production, and DR. Those are main differences. Non-production, you have QA, UAT, LT, pre-prod, and there is also a training environment. Then in production we have, which is live, and then as a backup for production, especially the physical disaster case, the DR is there. DR is the exact replica. We went really in detail about all these things in another session, so make sure you go through that session to understand the structure of all these environments, how they get used, how the application passes through each of these phases, and what actually gets done in each of these environments. Alright, and then how many boxes are there in each of the environments, how many JVMs are there, what are the sizes of each of these JVMs. The other video, don't pick up these details from here, so I'm going to skip through it. The number of instances also I'm going to skip through. Architecture of production we're going to skip. Number of instances we're going to skip. Production to DR failure. Now just to give a review of the difference between production to DR. DR is a disaster recovery setup, exactly like production, used only when there is a physical disaster like earthquakes, floods. Now these production and DR are at two geographical locations usually. Now if you are in US client, use Florida data center, which is on the east side, California data center, which is on the west side of US. So when there is a physical disaster, the production, let's say, is on Florida, it will be wiped out. So the traffic will be redirected to the California DC, and this rerouting will be done by the network team, not you. So we just have to make sure before the rerouting, the DR servers are up. Even before the DR servers are up, you need to make sure the DR database is up. Because unless the databases are up, you cannot bring up the WebLogic servers. Alright. Now, when you have such a setup, you require to make sure the DR will be actually able to fail over in case of production absence. So you will do drills kind of thing. Means on a quarterly basis, every 3 months, a small team of your team will go to the DR site. They try to see if we are able to do activities of our project from DR side. Means if the network connectivity is there or not properly, are we able to bring up all the servers within time? So these are called drills. It's like a fire drill. So you have fire equipment, everything in the building, but when there is a real fire, do you have enough time and enough proper process to evacuate everybody and then douse the fire or not? Means maybe the evacuation is not properly structured, means the staircase is too much crammed, or there are people falling down the staircases, or there is the pipes are too there is no water in the pipes, there is problem when there is emergency, the tank that the pipes are using is a different. So a drill needs to be done whether DR is working or not, and the drill usually happens once in every 3 months or once in every 6 months. Now, the moment production is down, the DR cannot be brought up immediately. The main reason is DR database usually is in standby. It's not open database. Whatever is happening in production, the archives will be applied to DR. So DR database is usually 4 hours behind the production. So what we usually do is the database administrators have a SCP process, automated process. Means all through the day the archives of production are moved from production to DR. They will be applied to the database. So the DR database is in standby mode 4 hours behind production. So the first thing in the drill that we do is we bring up the database. So the DBAs will apply all the archives to the DR database. They bring up their servers. Then we bring up our WebLogic servers, and we don't usually, the deployment is not done when we are doing the drill. Every time we do a production deployment, on the next second or third day we also finish the DR deployment also. So it's only the deployment, means only to the admin server. We don't, because the database will not be up, we usually don't bring up the managed servers. So for the DR setup to come up and the traffic to be redirected, the approximate time is 4 hours. That is a business time. So this is how the DR actually works. Then these are the sizes. Make sure you have a proper list of sizes that you should take care of. So remember all these sizes and everything. And then this is important, daily activities. You have a list of daily activities. I'm sure you are aware of this list. So you take care of most important in production monitoring, then you handle the tickets based on their priority, P1, P2, P3. Then you take care of the deployments and maintenance windows if there are any, especially to QA. You build up the environments. Then you take care of documentation, bridges of the team meetings, key related things. Now when you say this thing, make sure you change the order a little bit so that your deployments environment build-up comes towards the end. Don't stress too much on the tickets. Alright, so you say like production monitoring, deployment tickets based on their priority, deployments and maintenance windows, we take care of documentation, bridges, and the kit related thing, and environments, building, all that stuff. So that's how you say about daily activities. Then the tools that you're going to use are two types of tools. One is monitoring tools that you use for WebLogic monitoring, system monitoring, all that stuff, and then you also use ticketing tools. Now you don't have to remember all types of tools, but just say that you are working on one tool. The other tools just you are aware but not using them, because your one tool is actually taking care of everything. So for monitoring, just say CS Wiley Interscope or Oracle Enterprise Manager, Cloud Control. There are other tools that you may come across, like, do you know HP SiteScope? That's also a monitoring tool. Do you know Big Brother? That's also a network related monitoring tool. Basically it monitors routers, network elements, other stuff. Then BMC Patrol is another thing, usually monitor disk spaces. But nowadays these things are all done by Wiley Interscope itself. So what monitoring tool you are using is Interscope and OEM. OEM we have recently introduced. Then the ticketing tool is basically for tickets. The ticketing tool you would be using is Remedy. The Remedy is again from BMC. BMC Remedy it is. Alright, the version you will be using is 6.1. You may also come across, do you know ClearQuest? just say that clearcast is used by our testing team, but only testing team internally they are using, so we don't use it. We use Remedy for the overall project. Now when you use Remedy, is basically for ticketing. We will see in depth about what ticketing is, why somebody raises a ticket, and then there is another video about how the tool actually works, the interface of the tools and other stuff. These are the various teams you will be coming across. So this is where you are, the middleware team. You will majorly work with the development team for getting the code. Once you deploy it to QA, the testers will come in, the QA team or testing team. Along with that, you will be closely working with DBS. Then there are Unix system admins, network admins, security admins. Apart from all these things, there is a separate team that takes care of change, which is called change management team. So we will see what a change management team is, what they do, how they handle all these things together. So these are the various teams that you are coming across in a general project. Testing, development, DBS, network admin, Unix admins, then security admins, change management team, all this stuff. Now how do you communicate with each other means how all these teams are communicating with each other. Now when there is a project, the problem is that too many people, too many places, means each of these teams has an on-site offshore model. So you don't know who is there and where they are. So for example, Unix system administrators, you don't even see them. They are mostly working in night shifts, especially the US guys. So network admins the same way. You don't see them, you don't come across them very frequently. Only when there is a network outage or something you will see. Unix system admin only when there is a patching or system issues you will come across. Whereas QA, development and DBA, these are DBA and change management team. These teams, the four teams, you will come across very frequently. Means you are on a daily basis you are working with them. Security again is case-to-case basis. Unless there is a problem, you won't come across them again. But these are the various teams you will be coming across. Now because of so many teams, so many people, it's not possible for these guys to communicate with each other independently. For example, let's say there is a Unix system admin, and if a tester to access a system, the tester has to talk to Unix system. Now maybe they can put a mail or they can say something, but when let's say you put a mail and then the Unix system admin did not see it, then you are waiting for them to respond. You don't know whether they have seen the mail or not. So the general mail communication is not always efficient. Yes, it can be in some of the projects it is used, but it is not an efficient way of communication. So the same thing is true for we want to talk to Unix system administrator, that some SSH is not working. So when you send a mail, there is nothing like they know it, they seen it, they did not see it, we don't know. So what we do is all these teams together have a common tool. The tool can be pretty much like a simple Excel sheet also. Means I raise a ticket, I update the Excel. You look at the Excel, you monitor the Excel sheet, and then you fix that issue. So that can be done, but a more efficient one would be more like a software or a tool which has more features, like let's say it generates a unique identification number for every time whenever somebody complains something or whenever somebody asks for something, it raises a unique ticket. The reason why it needs to raise a unique ticket is you can track it. It's like, let's say you have a problem with your mobile phone and you called your customer care. You explain them the problem. Then you explain them the problem. Okay, they said, okay, we will fix it. After 1 week, they did not fix it. When you call them back, they might say, no, you never reported to us. Or maybe they forgot it genuinely. So to avoid such a problem, to make things efficient, what any project would usually implement is a tracking mechanism. Which means when you first call the Airtel customer care, they generate a number for your complaint. Then when the next time you call them, you can give them the numbers. Yeah, see, last time I called, you guys gave me this number. What is the status of this ticket number? Now the status of the ticket number can be anything. So basically you have generated a ticket. And why we generated a ticket? The ticket is generated basically for tracking. So in a project also, to make sure all the things that are getting generated are getting done are tracked, we generate tickets. So you have a lot of teams. So you have a middleware team here, then there are teams like DBAs, then there are developers, QAs, then Unix system admin, network system admin, DBA, system admin, change management. These are all various guys. Now all of them are using a single ticketing tool. Now if QA guy, let's say you have deployed an application and the application, you said, yeah, it's accessible. Alright. When you say accessible, let's say it's not accessible, then QA guy can actually raise a ticket on. When a ticket is raised, a unique number is assigned. Now, at the same time, when somebody raises a ticket, you will also get an alert to your email box. That is the feature of a ticketing tool. So, a ticketing tool basically sends out an alert saying, yes, this is somebody raised a ticket based on you. Somebody raised a ticket with so and so problem, this is the ticket number. Then you will also log into the same ticketing tool and then see what the problem is. Now when you raise a ticket, now there are basically types of tickets. When you look at the types of tickets, some tickets are problems, when something is not working, so they are called problem tickets. Trouble tickets, they are usually called TRs, trouble tickets. The second thing are called change requests. Tickets are called requests. Trouble ticket, change request. So CRs and TRs, these are the two types of requests you will see. Trouble ticket is where you have a problem. Trouble ticket is where you have a problem, and when you complain about a problem, normally when you call the customer care, what are the details you would give? You will tell what the problem is, how did you know, when that occurred, can they reproduce that same problem, or what are the symptoms of the problem, are there any logs related to that. So you give all the information related to the problem to the guy who is trying to solve. So usually any problem, now the same way a change is something that you want to change. Let's say you are asking for a new feature in your mobile, or you are asking for a let's say bill date change. So you are asking for a different monthly rental package. So that is a change. You are not complaining that there is a problem, but you are requesting a change. So even that change has a number. So normally when tickets are raised, there are TRs, which are trouble tickets, then CRs, which are change requests. Now these two are the types of the tickets. Now in any of the tickets, when you raise a problem or when you say please change this, there are certain areas that you will usually give information. So the fields in the ticket, now this is important. The fields in the ticket, the one is the ID, the ticket ID or ticket ID. The ticket ID is automatically generated by the tool, like Remedy. If you are using Remedy, generates a ticket, the ID. Now after Remedy, after that ID, you will give the title of the TR or CR. Then means you basically denote what is the title. Just like when you are sending an email, you give the overall meaning of your email into the subject of email. So the title of CR. Then description. The description is basically what the problem is, when did you receive it, how can this be produced. So then you will give steps to reproduce. Means when somebody tries to solve your problem, they first recreate the problem. So you need to tell them how you encountered the problem. So give them, I was clicking on this, then I clicked on this, then I clicked on this, then I got this error. Any error messages or any log files. Apart from this, there are certain important things like after the description, this is, we want to put it here. Fourth thing is the priority of the ticket. The priority is also called severity. So the priority of the ticket is really important in a sense. When you complain about a problem to a customer care, you tell whether it's urgent or it can be done leisurely. Let's say your mobile handset is not working, then that is a high priority. Then let's say you have asked for a change of your rental plan, that's a not so high priority. So both TRs and CRs have a priority associated to them. The priority is also called severity in some projects. So let's say for all our discussion we call it priority. Now these CRs and TRs have three types of priorities: P1, P2, P3. P1 is the highest priority, P2 is the next, P3 is lowest. Now when you have a problem, the guy who is raising a problem will assign a priority to it. Now how do you assign priority to it? If there is a direct business impact, means the customer is directly getting impacted, then it is called a P1 ticket. For example, the server down, production URL not accessible, database down, network outage, means the customers of this application or the business users are not able to access your application or something happened. So there is a direct financial implication of this problem, then it's called a priority 1. A priority 2 is that has a workaround, means there is a problem, but if you do it in some other way, the same work can be finished. Means there is no immediate business impact. Financial means there is no financial loss. Let's say here there is a financial loss. Here the same problem, let's say there are 3 servers and out of the 3 servers 1 server failed. If 1 server failed, it's a P2 because the other 2 servers are still running. If all the 3 failed, it's a P1. Means if there is a workaround, usually it's a P2. If all the employees, now if it has a direct business impact, it is a P1. P3 is not so critical. Something like, let's say, new feature needs to be added, or a link is not working. If a link is not working, then there is another link to do the same thing. You call it a P3. Now normally priority has nothing to do with production. Now all production tickets are usually P1 tickets, assuming that production has a direct impact. Now QA can also have P1, P2 tickets, P2, P1, P2, P3 tickets. So what we usually have is, if let's say today morning you have deployed it application, by 9 o'clock testers came in and the application not accessible. So that problem is a P1 problem even though it is in QA. The reason is because the application was not deployed, all the testers are sitting idle. Means we are paying them money without any work getting done. That kind of ticket is a P1 ticket even though it's in QA. So direct financial business impact is a P1 ticket. If there is a workaround, P2 ticket. Then the final one is P. Now the person whoever has raised the ticket will assign the priority. And here in the list of fields, so the 7th one is who is responsible. Means the person who is raising the ticket also tells who is responsible for solving the ticket. For example, if a tester is raising a ticket because the middleware, the WebLogic is not accessible, in the ticket they will say middleware team is responsible. Now when they are saying that middleware team, they assign the team ID. They don't assign individual IDs. And the tool has the team, all the team members inside them. Means the emails of all the team members in the assigning. So when somebody raises a ticket, assigns it to a middleware team, all the members in the middleware team will get an alert saying somebody raised a ticket on your team, middleware team. Then you log in with your own team, then you start working on it. When you start working on it, so when somebody raises a ticket, then there are states of the tickets. And there are states of the tickets. First is open, new ticket. After new ticket, you got basically you get an alert when somebody raises a new ticket, then you convert into, you start working on it, then you change it to in progress. Then finally, if it is closed, you close it. So these are the general states. Now each project may have a different way of designing these states, but just for the sake of simplicity, just say in your project you have 3 states to any ticket. When it is raised, it's new state. Once we start solving it, it's in progress. When we solve it, it's closed. Alright, so that is the ticket. Now, when you have these tickets and the tickets have priorities, obviously high priority tickets have to be solved faster. Low priority tickets need not be solved that fast, which means within certain time you are expected to solve the problem. The same thing like you called Airtel customer care, you raised a problem, my mobile is not working, which is a P1 ticket. Those guys say within 24 hours we will send somebody to your home or we will check it. So there is what is called a service level agreement associated with every priority of the ticket. Service level agreement called SLA means every ticket, whether it can be P1, P2, P3, it can be P1, it could be P2, it could be P3. Each ticket has a SLA associated with it. So for a P1 ticket, the SLA is different. For a P2 ticket, SLA is different. P3 ticket is SLA is different. Now again, when you say, let's say a QA team raised a ticket to middleware team, then they said a P1 ticket, was raised by a QA team on middleware team. So they said it's a P1 ticket. So when the moment somebody raises a ticket, we have to actually solve it. Means we have to start working on it. Now when you start working on it, it doesn't mean it gets solved immediately. It may take an hour to solve it, it may take 2 hours to solve it. But the person who raised the ticket should know that, yeah, this is being handled by somebody. Somebody is actually working on it. Which means when a ticket is raised, the first thing we do is we have to respond back. So for a P1 ticket, means when a QA ticket is raised, you got an alert. Just a moment, guys. Okay. So every time somebody raises a ticket, say maybe when somebody raises a ticket, you got an alert, but you did not see the alert in your email box, or you are not there at your desk, or you are out for on a Sunday, you are the only guy in the team and you are out for coffee. So you did not see the alert message. So every time a request is raised, there are 2 kinds of SLAs. One is a response SLA, means within X amount of time you need to respond back saying that yeah, we are looking at it, or else you need to update the ticket with proper details. Then there is a resolution SLA. The resolution SLA basically says when you are expected to solve it. For example, if there is a P1 ticket, the response SLA is 15 minutes. The resolution is, let's say, 1 hour. Means within 1 hour you are expected to solve the problem. If you do not solve, you escalate it. We'll see what is escalation. Then for a P2, let's say we keep it simple. For a P2 ticket, you respond within 3 or 4 hours and you solve. Let's say you respond in 1 hour, just for the sake of simplicity, and you solve it within 24 hours. Then for a P3, you respond within 24 hours and you solve it within 7 days. P3s are least priority. Now, these are not strict numbers, strict rules. They change from project to project. So, if you are asked what is your SLAs, as a P1, we have 1 hour SLA, P2 24 hours, and P3 a 1 week SLA. So that is resolution SLAs. Response SLAs are 15 minutes. Within 15 minutes, we are expected to respond. Now, this is true not just for tickets. It's also the same SLA for monitoring. So when you're for alerts, when you get alerts, all production alerts, you need to respond within 15 minutes, saying that we are working on it. Alright. If there is an alert, we say we are working on it, because the alert will not be sent not just to you, it will be sent to everybody. Means your manager, his manager, the customer, the client, everybody. So when there is an alert, they don't know whether the alert is actually genuine alert or it's just by mistake the alert was triggered, or sometimes a network usually has spikes kind of thing. So you will see an alert, then it automatically clears off. So they expect that the team responsible for taking care of the system will actually give them some information. So when there are production alerts, you usually respond within 15 minutes saying that yes, we are working on it, and within an hour you will say whether the problem is still there or it's resolved or something. Alright, so that's it. So the SLAs actually work for alerts also. And then who can raise a ticket? Who can raise a ticket is basically anybody can raise a ticket. Who can raise a ticket? Actually raise a ticket means you can raise a ticket, somebody else can raise a ticket on you. You can raise on yourself. Let's say a production server crashed, managed server. That's your problem. Still you raise a ticket and assign it to yourself. You fix the problem, you close the ticket. Now a ticket, the purpose of a ticket is to track. Means at the end of every year, let's say, if I want to see how my team performed, I can even simply take a report of how many tickets were raised against us, how much time we have spent on those tickets, when the tickets was raised, what was the average time to solve the tickets. All these things can be seen. So each team's performance can be actually seen by the total amount of time they are spending. Let's say the middleware team, whenever somebody is, let's say Unix team, you are raising a ticket and they are taking 3 days to solve the ticket. Then at the end of a quarterly meeting, the managers of both Unix team and middleware team, they sit together and they see, every time we are raising a ticket, you guys are taking 3 days. It's loss of business for us. We have to wait 3 days. So you have statistics to talk about business. See, at the end of the day, we all these teams together want to run a project. Even if any of them is not working properly, it will have impact on the overall project, and the project will go, so people will lose jobs. So it's not each of them are fighting with each other. It's basically we all want to work together and make sure the project is running smooth. So wherever there are problems, we want to track the problems. Now say there may be a team where there are not enough resources. Let's say your middleware team has only 2 resources. Now the tickets that everybody is rising against you are too many. then your manager can actually take the report and see, we are getting so many tickets, we have only 2 guys, so I need additional 2 resources. So there is a raw data available in the ticketing tool that gives a proper indication of the health of the project. All right, so that's a ticketing tool is basically to track things around. When a lot of people are there, a lot of things are happening, a simple email communication will not be able to help. Or it also resolves a lot of, it makes people responsible. For example, let's say QA guy has sent you a mail, you will say, I never received a mail. There is no proof that there is a problem in the mail server. We don't know where the problem, we don't know. So to avoid such kind of behavior, the tool really works. So when a QA guys raises a ticket, they don't have to worry that they need to inform you. The ticketing tool automatically triggers an alert to your system. So you are expected to monitor the ticketing tool and your email box. You can't say I did not see the alert. You are expected to see the alert. That's why you are getting paid. So it also makes people responsible. So every time a ticket is raised, there is a starting time. Every time a ticket is closed, ending time is there. So when we look at a ticket, we know how long a team took to solve the problem. So it's important that every team, especially for a middleware team, it's important they close all the tickets. It's not just finish your problem. You fix the problem. If you don't close it, still you are basically hurting yourself. So it's important that you follow the process also in a project, so that everybody knows that you're working hard and things are moving smooth. Now, ticket raising can be done by anybody on your own or on other team. Usually, if you don't know who is responsible, let's say QA team got an error. Assume that error is because of a database problem, but they don't know that it's a database problem. So what they do is usually they assign it to middleware. Then we will see the ticket. We will see that, check in the log file, see if there is a SQL query error. We will assign it to a DB team. So the tickets can be assigned, reassigned to any of these teams. Then every week there will be a meeting. Usually the manager and the team lead of each team will be joined in a bridge, and in the bridge they discuss about, let's say, QA and middleware, or QA and development. Let's say this is usually the common team. So QA team manager, QA team technical lead, middleware team manager, middleware team technical lead, development manager, development lead, DBA manager, DBA lead. Now these 4 guys usually, let's say, they sat in a meeting. So they sat in a meeting here. When they sit in a meeting, so they discuss, okay, what are the pending tickets? Out of them, how many of our priority 1 tickets, priority 2 tickets, priority 3 tickets? Who is responsible? Let's say there are a lot of tickets pending on middleware team. So the testing team manager is going to ask you, yeah, there are a lot of pending tickets. Why? When we are going to solve the problems? What is the problem? Then the middleware team might say the issues is with the development. So the developer is not fixing it. So you are sitting together and you are trying to solve and close all the tickets. So a project's health is also known by the number of open tickets. If there are no open tickets in the project, it means it's a healthy project. If there are too many open tickets and nobody is responding, SLAs are breached, so then it's not so healthy project. Means it's not being managed properly. So that's usually results in other discussions, escalations, other stuff. Alright, so this is how the ticketing helps. What is the contents of the tickets, the types of tickets, the priorities of the tickets, states of the tickets, the teams that use the tickets, the tools, the SLAs for the ticket, who raises the ticket, all that stuff. Alright, so we'll get in depth into each of them later. So now how do you communicate using email, phone, bridges? So these are the types of communication. You send an email, you pick up a phone and call people. It all depends on what is called escalation matrix. There is something called escalation matrix. Every team has an escalation matrix. Like if somebody wants to contact a middleware team, so shift schedule will be there. So contact point 1 will be there. So somebody wants to contact, so the contact point 1 mobile name, mobile number will be published to all the teams. There will be a common page. On that page, every team publishes contact point escalation. Means if the contact point is not available, name, email, mobile. So anybody wants to contact, they can contact. Then escalation 1 is, that means if that main person is not available, the second person who you should call, then the second person. So like this, escalation 2 means that, so there is always, if this link goes up to the CEO of the company, and the CEO of the company is expected to answer all the calls. Alright, so if there is anything, the CEO, that's what the CEO does. Now, so like this, every team in that environment has 3 contact points. So every team has basically, it goes to the head of that, let's say HR team you want to contact. There is a main contact person, the escalation 1. If not reachable, go to escalation 2. If not reachable, go to escalation 3. Then HR manager, HR country head, HR global head, and the CEO of the company. That's a normal escalation matrix. We don't usually go to more than 3 levels. Usually somebody will respond. You don't have to worry. But theoretically, the general rule is every team. So you have an escalation matrix for QA team. The same way you have an escalation matrix for middleware team. This is a QA escalation matrix. The same way you have your middleware. If you look at a middleware escalation matrix, so the person in shift is the first escalation point. Means anybody wants to contact middleware team, they should contact the person in shift. The shift schedule will be published. Then publishing basically, it's like, see, it's a common page. There is a URL that every team has, that on that this is a common page, single page. Every team's page information will be on that URL. Then if the person is not available, then escalation point 1 will be there, usually your team lead. Then escalation point 2, usually your manager. Escalation point 3, usually your director. Escalation point 4, usually your vice president. Escalation point 5, escalation point 5, usually your chief technology officer. Then escalation point 6, usually your CEO. So this is the general structure. So you have person in shift, team lead, then you have team manager, then you have director, who is the manager of the manager, then vice president, CTO, CEO. These are my escalation matrix for anybody, and this list is this list is there for each team. DBA has an escalation matrix, Unix team has all these things. Now each team has an escalation matrix. Now when you can't reach it, you basically try to reach the next person. Now the same way, if you look at this entire project, so a lot of things are happening in this project. Now when a lot of things happen in this project, a lot of changes are happening. Means developers are developing version 1, then QA is testing version 1, Unix middleware guys are deploying version 1, then in the meantime the production, there is a problem. So let's say we want to finish the project in 3 months. So if we want to finish the project in 3 months, we need to decide on the first month what should we finish, on the second month what should we finish, on the third month what should we finish. Then first month, if you subdivide it, then you have in the first month, let's say on the first 1 week, you should basically finish the version 1.0 of the code. Then it will be given to the middleware, then they deploy it, the testers will test it for 1 week, then it will go to load testing, all that. So this entire schedule has to be planned. Now these are the various changes that are happening. Then in the meantime, there may be Unix operating system patches, then there are problems. So it's in a large project, a lot of things are happening. Now all these changes have to be tracked because every project, it has its own manager and everything, but somebody has to track if all these things are working together or not. Alright, now when all these things are working together, somebody has, let's say tomorrow you have a deployment. Today evening 4 o'clock you have a deployment. Now by 4 o'clock to deploy the application, you need the code. Means the developer should have finished the code by 4 o'clock. Then you deploy it. You say I will deploy it from 4 to 5. After 4 to 5, if possible, there should be a tester to test it. Now these three things, very simple things we are taking. Now who is going to talk to the development team manager saying that is the code going to be ready? Somebody has to talk to middleware team manager. We need a person to deploy this application from 4 to 5. It's not that they can send it anytime and somebody will be available, right? People might be busy in other projects. Then when somebody has to talk to testing manager and say, yeah, the deployment will be finished by 6 o'clock. Will there be somebody to test it? So these coordination need to be done by somebody. Now that change has to be coordinated, and the process of managing change is called change management. So change management is the most important thing of a project. Means everything is changing in a project. So somebody has to manage the change. So managing the change is nothing but coordinating every bit. So change management is nothing but managing the change. Change management, managing the change. Now when you are managing the change, there is a separate team to do that. That's called change management team. These are basically 2 or 3 guys with not so much technical knowledge. Alright. So they talk to everybody, the managers, project managers, and they make sure things are going smooth. If there are any changes, they will inform the corresponding team. So it's not the middleware team that is actually running the project. Middleware team is just one of the several teams, but it has more importance because it's in the middle of everything. The change management team is the one that actually controls or coordinates everything. Now in a project you have lots of, just now we have seen we have tickets. Now in some projects they are called instants, they are called problems. Now when there are instants and problems, you raise tickets, isn't it? Now instants and problems, the process of, now all these three are basically same. Means instant management and problem management is pretty same. It's slight difference. Instant is something unplanned, problem is something that you know existed. Incidents are, let's say server crash is an instant. Instants are usually unplanned. There is no exact definition as such. Instants are unplanned problems. Problems are like problems. They are known or unknown, or problems are general problems. Like for example, let's say OS upgrade failed. You have planned it, it failed. That's a problem. So in projects you won't have incident management, problem management, everything. Then you will either have incidents or problems. But there is slight difference, but usually you will say that okay, we have only incident management. So you will say incident management. When the incident management incidents occur, we raise tickets. So there are types of tickets again, CRs, TRs. Now managing these tickets is done by the tool, which is what we are using, Remedy. Now managing the tickets is called ticket management. Managing ticket means make sure there are no open tickets. When there is a ticket, make sure there is a SLA associated with it. So somebody has to manage all these things. Usually the change management team also takes care of ticket management. So for a definition sake, change management is managing the change. Means what is happening in your project, when is happening, and what means when the QA deployment is happening, one UAT deployment is happening, when we are going to get into production, if there is a bug in the production, when the developer should fix it, when the middleware team will, means then when should we take a downtime. Let's say there is a production problem, we wanted to restart all the production servers, somebody has to talk to the client, right? So who is going to talk to the client? It's the change management team. So managing all these changes, various versions you have in environment, various environments you have, then various problems you have, all this managing the change is change management. When we are managing the change, there will be incidents or problems. Managing those things is called incident management. Means whenever there are incident problems, you have tickets. Now managing the tickets is called ticket management, usually done using remedy tool. So change management is one thing, incident or problem management is same. Ticket management is basically to manage the incidents. So all these things together, why you are doing it? To run a project. So all these things together is called project management. Along with these things, there are a lot of other things like resource management, because a project requires resource management, but resource management is basically for managers. You don't get involved into resource management. So change management is managing the change. Incidents and problems are basically, incident is unplanned problem like server outage. Server crash is an incident. Problem is upgrade failure is a problem. But they both are same. We just say that we have only incidents, we don't have problems as such. Everything is considered as an incident. So we are using ticketing tool, remedy ticketing tool to manage those incidents. So whenever there is an incident, we raise a ticket, and that's how we solve it. Alright, so all these things is done, comes under project management. Project management is usually the job of the manager, which also includes other areas like resource management, performance management, all that stuff. But for you, change management, incident management, tickets management, that's it. Alright, so these are some of the areas. So then moving on, how do you receive alerts? Obviously alerts are sent by the tools. You will receive both alerts related to tickets, and you will receive alerts related to monitoring. So when somebody raises a ticket, you will receive an email saying that so and so person has raised a ticket on your team. So you go, the number of the ticket also will be given in the email. So you will go into that tool and basically look at that. And types of tickets, just now we have seen there are TRs and then CRs. TRs are trouble tickets for any problem. CRs are change requests for any change. For example, let's say you are deploying a new version of the application, or you want to change the XMX value of the heap. Then you are creating a new environment. So these are all change requests because there is no problem. You are simply implementing a change. So CRs and TRs, these are the two types of requests. Now in a ticket, these are the things that you will have. You will have a ticket ID, which is generated by the tool, title, the description, the priority is important, which is P1, P2, P3. Did you encounter any errors and the messages related to that errors? And how can you reproduce the problem? It's not possible that always a problem is reproducible. If it is, you can actually see it. Any logs that you might have, you will put in there. Alright, these are the fields in a ticket. Apart from that, you have the types of priority of the ticket. You have P1, P2, P3. P1 highest priority, P2 highest second. The same P1, P2, P3 tickets are also called severities. So severity 1, Sev 1, Sev 2, Sev 3. Severity, priority are same. So some projects call that priority, other projects call it severity. For the sake of our discussion, let's call them priority always. So we will call them priority. So we have three priorities of ticket, P1, P2, P3. P1 is highest, P2 is next, P3 is lowest. Then we have SLAs, service level agreements, because each priority ticket has a SLA. Means within that time we have to, one respond, second one resolution. So you will just mug up these timings, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 3 hours, 24 hours, 1 day, 6 days. These are not standard things, but yes, it changes from team to team. It's okay to say random values. So, but mug it up. Then this is the escalation matrix that I was talking. Your designation is system analyst. All right. If you can't solve a problem, or if there is a problem, you will call the technical lead. If the technical lead is not reachable, you will call the manager. If the manager not reachable, you will try to call the director. If the director is not reachable, you will call the vice president. The vice president not reachable, you will call the CEO. Now, usually this will not be the case. Let's say usually if the technical lead is not available, you will wait for some time and call the manager, or you will call another manager. Like let's say your middleware manager is not available, you will call the DBA manager, try to tell him what the problem is. Then probably he will let you talk to him, means he will inform the director, because at your level probably it's too early to talk to a director. So you will try to finish it till the point of your manager, because manager is the one who you will have direct contact with. This is called escalation matrix. Means if there is a problem or if you can't solve something, this is how you proceed. They will tell you what to do. Then on-site offshore team, make sure you have two teams. One is at on-site. On-site is where the client is. If you have a supporting US client, your on-site is at US. Pick up a city like New York or California or anything. Offshore, you are here. Now offshore team sizes will be large in size, on-site will be small in size. So if we have the on-site offshore model, so what you have is, you have you're sitting in India here. This is India, let's say. Then there is US here. All right. So and you're sitting in Bangalore somewhere here. All right. Then New York is here. Florida is somewhere here. California is here. Los Angeles, all stuff. So pick up only, remember only these three areas. All right. This you have New York. This is Florida. Then this is California. California is a state, so say Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a city, so you will say Los Angeles, LA. So basically, you have at Bangalore, you are here. Alright. Then this is Europe. Alright, this area is Europe. This area is Middle East. Alright. This is somewhere Africa. This is Australia. This area somewhere you will have Singapore and Malaysia. This is China. This is Japan. Alright. So this is your world map. Make sure you remember the world maps. Alright. So basically, this is offshore team. This is on-site team. At wherever the on-site team is, basically, let's say you have on-site team at don't say New York. New York is more of financial, so say New Jersey or something. New Jersey is a better place. I'd say here you're saying New Jersey. Right. So offshore team has 10 members, on-site team has 5 members. That's how you're going to say. Alright. And both of you are supporting 24/7. Now when you're supporting 24/7, just say you're working in weekends on call. If you get a call, means we get a call if there is a problem, and you also on-site team is also working along with us. So just say that on a daily basis we have 2 guys per shift, and then on the weekends only 1 guy. So our morning shift will handle, their morning shift they handle it. Alright, or else to keep it simple, just say we are handling all the 24/7 means, and there is on-site team also. They come only in their morning. Night shift we will handle, and they will also be there. Means when we are night shift, it's their morning. So in our night shift we will be there, and on-site team also will be there. So these are Isd timings. Just remember the timings. There are 3 shifts. Morning shift is 7 to 3. Afternoon shift is 2 to 11. And night shift is 10 to 7. Basically there is a 1 hour overlap. See, if it finishes at 3, means the next guy is actually coming at 2. There is a 1 hour. These two guys will discuss with each other. They see if there is any pending activities. They basically give the handoff. Then the maintenance window. A maintenance window is a technical word for execution of the activity. Let's say you have a deployment. You will be given a time 4 to 6. Now the 4 to 6 is called a maintenance window. The maintenance window can be because for a CR or for a TR. Means maybe you are working on a problem or maybe you are working on a change request. Now the maintenance window itself is scheduled by the change management team because they need to coordinate with a lot of other teams. So they coordinate and they tell you when the maintenance window is. They basically raise a ticket. The maintenance window is nothing but a CR. Now some of the examples of maintenance windows are, the general example is application deployment to anything, QA or production. It's a maintenance window. And let's say there is a Unix patch upgrade, that's called a maintenance window. Any changes that you want to do with WebLogic, maintenance window. Or any activity needs to be executed in a maintenance window. It cannot be randomly executed. You need to have certain time, and that time only you are expected to execute it. Alright, if you can't execute within the maintenance window, it's called an outage usually, especially in production. Now how will you execute maintenance window? Now when you execute maintenance window, the technicalities are not the only things. Before you start, let's say deployment, you don't directly go ahead and execute Java WebLogic.deployer. There are certain things that you need to perform before you start executing that steps. So first thing you need to do is this is really important step. You need to make sure the maintenance window is approved. Somebody has to tell you that do it, isn't it? You're not going to just blindly do it because there is a CR. So every maintenance window has to be approved by the technical head. Yes, there is a director who will actually approve all the maintenance windows. That's not your manager. There is a director. So the director will approve. That's not your regular manager is not the one who is approving maintenance windows. There will be a delivery manager. The delivery manager is the one who will approve all the maintenance windows. Now the guy who is actually executing, let's say you are the one who is supposed to deploy the application to production this evening. You will make sure all the approvals are there. Means you can actually see it in the CR. In the CR you will see if everything is approved or not. So if it is approved, then only you are going to start the activity. Now before the CR starts, let's say you are starting the CR at 4. Even before that, you can actually copy all the files to the admin server, because these are the files that you will copy from the stage server to the admin using SCP command. Then if it is production, you need to basically shut down all the alerts, because you're going to shut down the servers. The monitoring tool will throw alerts. So what you do is you create what is called a blackout. Nowadays it's technically called a blackout. So here what you're going to go do is you're going to create a blackout. Now creation of the blackout, you won't do it. The reason is you will say the monitoring tool we only use for monitoring. We don't configure the monitoring tool. Means how do you configure a monitoring tool? We don't know it. There is a separate team that actually monitors a lot of environments, not just our project. They have a centralized monitoring tool that basically monitors middleware, that monitors databases, that monitors network system, that monitors switches, routers, everything it monitors. So we are not owners of the monitoring tool. So we don't know how to configure an alert. All that we do is we get a URL. On the URL, we can, that's a read-only URL, means we can see the dashboards, that's it. So if we want to stop the alert, we can't stop it. Blackout has to be created by the monitoring management team. What we are going to say, we'll say there is a CR, so please make sure for this time we are going to shut down the errors server, so make sure don't send out any alerts. So the tool has a facility that it will not send out any alerts in this blackout time. Now once you have finished these activities, means you have technically you're still about to do anything, but this is a process. The process is important. So you made sure approvals are there, then you got ready with all the things, then you ask the monitoring team to shut down the monitors because you're going to officially shut down the servers. It's approved one. Then you go ahead and start your activity. First activity, you shut down the servers, then you deploy the application, then you bring up the servers. After you bring up the servers, you need to tell somebody that, yeah, deployment is finished, right? But before you say that, you do what is called a sanity test. Sanity test is you basically check the URL, you make sure it's accessible. Not too much checking, just check it, see, there is nothing wrong, no errors in the logs, all that stuff. They say, yeah, everything is looking good. That's called a basic sanity test. Now, once the sanity test is done and once the QA team also says, yeah, everything looks good, then you send the notice to the monitoring team again to restart all the alerts. Then you send out a mail saying that deployment is completed, so we are releasing the environment. The technical word is release the environment. Then you will send out a mail to the change management team, or you call the change management team and you basically say, this is done, so please close the CRRTR, and they will close the CRRTR. So it's not just the technicals. See, the technicals is only this part. This is probably the easiest part of all. This is only the technical part. Everything else is a procedure. So you need to make sure everything is approved technically. You're expected to do that. Nobody is going to ask you why you did that kind of. Then you shut down the alerts. Then you do it. This is a very small thing. Then you do a testing. Then you restart the servers, release the environment, and this is how a maintenance window gets executed. It is for any maintenance window. The process is same for any maintenance. Only the green box steps change. If you're doing an upgrade, the green box steps change. If you're doing something else, the restart, simply restart. But the rest of the things will remain same. Any maintenance window. Alright, now there's something called RCA cap. RCA cap is basically a root cause analysis and corrective action plan. It is root cause analysis and corrective action plan. This is CAP. Root cause analysis is RCA. So here, now why you have to do a root cause analysis? Now let's say there is a problem. Now RCA CAP is usually done only for P1s, not for anything else. The reason is P1 we know that high priority and which has a direct business impact. Now the reason why we want to do a root cause analysis is we have set up such a nice architecture, we have paid the architect and everything. In spite of doing all these things, all these creative intelligent minds, still our servers went down. The question is why? Means how come we were not able to predict it? Every business wants any problem to be identified before, and so that they can have proper arrangements for that. It's for something like a fire one. There is going to be a fire sometime in your building, so you have a fire extinguisher or some kind of thing like a power backup. If there are going to be power cuts in here, so you have a backup for that. You can't blame that there are power cuts, then you can't run a business. So every business wants to know that there are going to be problems. So here, in spite of knowing that there are going to be problems, still this problem occurred. And that's what a business wants to know, why this problem occurred, why we were not able to predict this problem. So you basically analyze the root cause of this problem. Why the server failed or why the router failed. So that's what we want to That's what we want to understand. Once you understand what caused the problem, then we can take a corrective action plan. Means we will see, okay, next time make sure there is a manual check. Next time every 1 day check it. Or next time put a double thing. So root cause analysis has 2 or 3 fields. One is what caused the problem. The second thing is what needs to be done so that the same problem does not occur again. These are the 2 things that RCA cap form will have. It's a small Word document. It has only 2 fields. What is the cause of the problem? What should be done so that the problem does not repeat again? Only these 2 things. So usually for all P1 tickets, your team lead usually does a RCA cap. You can say we also do a RCA cap. What did you know for which problem you did RCA is, let's say you can say there was an out of memory error, so we solved the out of memory error and then we did a RCA cap and we sent it to the director. RCA cap will be sent to the director. So you will tell about how you solve the out of memory. So the root cause for the out of memory problem is effective load test. That's what you will say. The load testing was not done probably. There were some gaps in the load test. So corrective action plan is we should do a rigorous load testing next time. That's how it looks like. They're simple, but it's a process. Then there are L1, L2, L3 supports. The L1, L2, L3 supports they have nothing to do with experience. This is the most important thing. A lot of confusion is there about, if I have 1 year experience, I will be in L1. If I have 2 years experience, I will be in L2. And if I am in 3 year support, L3 support. It has nothing to do with experience. It is to do with the activity you are doing. Means if you have 10 years experience, and still if you are only monitoring, you will be called L1 support on. If you have 1 year experience but you are troubleshooting, you will be called L3 support. So I can bring a IIT guy and put him in L3 support even though he's a fresher. And I can take somebody who is not so smart but having 10 years experience and put them into L1 support monitoring. And then between L1 and L2 there is a middle one which usually takes care of basic troubleshooting, server restarts, shutting. So when you say, you will say we are in L3 support. All production are L3 support. Now if you can't solve the problem, what you do, you will contact your technical lead. The technical lead will contact the next technical lead. Then you will go to Oracle and you raise a SR. SR is a service request with Oracle. So whenever there is a problem in WebLogic, you basically raise a service request with Oracle. Now if you are asked, did you raise a service ticket? No, usually my team lead raises a service ticket, but I can do it as well. That's what you say. So you are in L3. So in your project, for projects where there are small teams, like in the project that we are talking, 10-member team, L1, L2, L3, all the 3 supports are done by a single team. Means we don't have a separate team that does the monitoring. We don't have a separate team that does the server startup and shutdown, and then you don't have a separate team that does only troubleshooting. This is when you have large number of instances and there is a large project. So the monitoring separate team, server restart separate team, troubleshooting separate team, not like that. So you have a decently good project and the single team of 15 members is actually supporting all the levels, L1, L2, L3. That's why you are in actually L3 support. Don't say L2 support. Now I've seen some of the students being hesitant and saying, if L3 support, you say they'll ask us too many questions, so we'll say L2 support. You are not in L2 support, you are in L3 support. And if you can't solve a problem in L3 support, you will actually contact your technical lead, who is the next level of escalation. If the technical leads can't solve the problem, he is going to contact another person, senior member. If they can't solve the problem, they will contact the Oracle. So those are L1, L2, L3 supports, and that's how you're going to solve the problems. So you are always in L3 support. Alright, then apart from this, now You are already given the videos with remedy tool, so make sure you observe how to raise a CR and how to raise a TR, at least explanation, especially the interface is what you need to understand. See the alerts that are received when you raise TR is raised, and see if the approval is there or not for any ticket, then how do you close a ticket. These are all simple things. It's just confidence that yeah, this is how you do it. We'll see certain sample email communications also later, related to a lot of things. Means when there is a work, how do you get an email? When there is escalation, how do you get an email? How do you get an alert? How do you respond to an alert? Then project management related emails, we'll see certain. Then the bridge is basically a conference call, of all the people. Normally a bridge can be internal bridge, external bridge, like within your team, offshore, on-site team, they can be in a conference. Basically, usually that will be in the evening times. So you'll say just we have a bridge call between on-site and offshore in the evening. So that will be at 6 o'clock every day. So everybody joins the bridge and we discuss what are the pending activities that we have done in the morning, what is maintenance windows they have for the afternoon, if there are any problems in the night, how they're going to solve it, all that stuff. Right? So this is a team meeting kind of thing. Every day it happens, or once in a week also it happens. Then we don't have this one, audio interviews, so we'll see these things. So this is your overall project management. So just to recollect everything, these are the key topics we talked about: architectures, environments. These two things are in a separate video. Daily activities we talked about, roles and responsibilities. Yeah. Now daily activities, roles and responsibilities are going to be same for you. It's for a 4 or 5 years guy. The daily activities are same as roles and responsibilities. They don't change for you, but for a manager, they will be different. So when somebody asks you roles and responsibilities or daily activities, you just say the same answer. Support models we talked about, then this is the important thing we talked about. Out of this thing, just to repeat, change management is managing the change. Means when something is changing, when the project gets deployed, when we are going live into production, all that stuff. Incident is something that is unexpected and there's a problem. So managing the instance is incident management, usually done through tickets. Problem management is same like incident management. You just say that we have only incident management, we don't have any problem management, but they both are same. So problem, the difference, exact difference between incident and problem is incident is something that I expected. Problem is, it could be a known problem like upgrade failure. Ticket is basically TRs and CRs, and how do you manage those TRs and CRs is ticket management. Means all the tickets should be closed, you should open. These are more related to managers, and all these things together they come under project management. Apart from these things, there are a lot of other things also. Alright, then these are the environments. One thing we're still missing, the training thing, so add it. This is the architecture. This is given clearly, nicely on a different video. So these are architectures, number of instances, production to DR we talked about, summary of capacity. Make sure you take a sheet of this one. Then daily activities, mark this up. Alright, production monitoring, tickets, deployments, maintenance windows, environment build-up, all that stuff. Tools, there are two types of tools, monitoring tools and then ticketing tools. Let's say you are using CUL, Interscope, and then Oracle Enterprise Manager Cloud Control. Now the reason why you have to use two is OEM is a recent tool. You cannot say I was using it for the last 4 years. The OEM was introduced only 2 years before, so you will say last 1 year we are using Oracle Enterprise Manager Cloud Control, but in the last 4 years we have Wiley Interscope. Even now we have Wiley Interscope, so we have both tools now. Some of our environments, our production is on Wiley Interscope and QA is in OEM or something, you will say. Just for the sake of it, just say that OEM we are recently using on QA. On production we still have Wiley Interscope on it. Then these are the various teams you will come across. These teams will be communicating with each other on emails, mobile phones, VoIP phones, bridge calls, all that stuff. And then there is a ticketing tool among all these things. The ticketing tool is same. All of them have IDs to it, so anybody can raise a ticket on anybody. This is how you communicate. Anybody, how do you receive alerts is basically through emails. Just say that you don't have SMS alerts kind of thing. So somebody has to be in office always. These are the two types of tickets, CRs and TRs. Then these are the fields within a ticket. The most important part of this field is the ticket ID, title and priority. This is what the interviewer is usually expecting that you would say. You will say that there is a priority to any ticket. And these are the priorities. SLAs, escalation means who will you call if there is a problem. These are the shift timings, mark up the shift timings. Then maintenance window. A maintenance window is basically a time frame within which you have to execute the entire activity. There are some of the examples of the maintenance window we have given. Then this is how you perform a maintenance window. Then RCA cap, this is usually done after a priority 1 ticket. Hence you have to understand why it occurred, then you have to tell how you can prevent it from happening again. Then these are the different types of supports. Alright. So that's your project management. Apart from this, there's a quick view of hardware. We have talked about versions, monitoring tool we have talked about, recent problems we have talked about, Unix based monitoring, ticketing tools we have talked about. So there is a separate, talked about what is change management, incident management, various teams in the project, communication among different teams, ticketing tools. We talked to samples of instance. We'll see recent instance in the project. You can say anything 3 or 4, like out of memory issues, stuck threads you have. Then you have a temp space full, or you can say anything that we have discussed. So you should be able to answer all these questions. What is change management? Managing the change. What is problem management? Managing problems. What is incident management? Managing incidents. Incidents and problems are same. Anything that is unexpected is an incident, like a server crash is an incident. What is a ticket? Ticket is a tracking number. What's the ticketing tool? The tool that manages all the tickets. Why to use a ticketing tool? Basically to track everything in the project. What ticketing tool you are using? We are using Remedy. What are the important fields in the ticketing tool? Ticket ID, priority of the ticket, title, description. These are, and who it is assigned to. How to raise a ticket? We can raise it using your Remedy tool. You can log into the Remedy tool, and there is a new ticket. Click on the new ticket and raise it. This is in the video. How many types of tickets are there? CRs and TRs. How do you get a ticket? We get a ticket through an email. So whenever somebody raises a ticket, we get an alert that somebody raised a ticket with the ticket number. So then we take the ticket number, we go log into the Remedy tool. We can see what the ticket is about. Then we will contact that person if we have to. Otherwise, we will start working on it based on the description. What will you do after the receive the ticket? Yeah, basically we receive the ticket and then we log into the Remedy tool, and then we change the state of the ticket to in progress. Once we change the state of the ticket to in progress, then we start working on the ticket if it is a high priority one, or based on the ticket priority will work. Somebody will be assigned that ticket, they will start working on it. If they need to talk to a ticket riser, we will talk to the ticket riser. Then after once it is fixed, we close the ticket. Are there any other ticketing tools? We are using only Remedy ticketing tool. There are other tools like ClearQuest, our QA team is using. Then we have Mantis, there is another tool. So there are a couple of other tools, but we are using Remedy. What is the priority of security ticket? The priority is basically urgency. So we have three priorities, P1, P2, P3. So this should give you very solid understanding of your entire change management. I'm expecting that you would not hesitate in answering any of these questions. Daily activities we already talked about, just keep to the list, don't change the list. Alright, there is a slight difference here, but don't change the list. So these are the questions you will see. What did you do in your office yesterday from start to end? What are the daily activities in your office? Tell me about what you did yesterday. Tell me about current your roles and responsibility. What are the activities? So the same question in a lot of other forms. Then how a typical day in usual WebLogic admin's office is, you basically go to office, you take a handover from the previous guy. Then you open the mail, you see all the alerts that happened in the previous shifts. So by looking at all the alerts, you know, were there any problems in the environment? Is there any problems? You can ask the guy who is leaving the shift, what was the problem, what was done to solve the problem, what are the files related to the problem. So you will get all the information so that you are up to date with all the things in your environment. Then you will see what is scheduled in your shift. Means if you have a maintenance window scheduled, then are the approvals already taken, or you need to check the approvals are taken or not. Then you will see if there are any ongoing problems or issues. You will go through the mails. Any pending or in progress P1 tickets, you will make sure there are no in progress P1 tickets, because if you don't check it and if there is a P1 ticket, if the guy who left did not update you, you'll be in trouble. So basically you make sure what happened in the last two scripts, that shifts that you are not there, and what is the scheduled thing for your shift. The best way to know that is by looking at the alerts and emails. So the moment you go to the office, the first thing you do is you go through all the emails. That's what you do. Once you go through the emails, you know, okay, what is happening in the environment. Then you log into the ticketing tool to see if there are any ticketing problems. Then you start working on the pending tickets, like P1 tickets, if there are any that takes the priority. Otherwise, you start working on any pending P2 tickets, then any P3 tickets that might be there. So you don't have a P1 ticket every day, so it's not that every day there is a P1 ticket. So when you don't have P1 tickets, you start working on P2, P3. Then if there is a scheduled window, then you need to work on pre-maintenance window activities, like transfer the files to the admin box, make sure the approvals are there, all that stuff. Then you see if there are any bridges that you need to attend. Bridges can be anything. It can be a team meeting, internal team meeting, or external team meeting, or let's say when a Unix patching is happening, they also open a bridge. If there are any problems, they expect that you join the bridge and report it. So usually when there is something happening, that team opens a bridge and gives them bridge number, means the conference number, to everybody, so that if anybody else is seeing a problem because of this, they can contact that number. This usually is true for network admins, security admins, system admins, because if a network admin is doing something, there will be a lot of people who will get affected. So they can't sitting on one cubicle and doing that. So anybody might have an issue. So when there is a network upgrade, they inform everybody that we're going to have a network upgrade. If you have any issues, please log into the bridge and let us know. So there is somebody who is listening on that bridge. If you see that there is a problem, if you think that that's because of the network, then you're going to log into the bridge and talk to them. The same way, some people can ask you to join a bridge because there is outage. So then the maintenance window, beginning to end, you take the approvals, you copy all the required files to the stage server, from the stage to the admin box. Then you stop all the alerts, you send a notif, then execute the maintenance window, which is the technical part. Then you bring up the application. You do a basic sanity test, that's called a level 0 sanity test. Then you send a mail to QA team to finish the level 1 sanity test. Once they are saying okay, then you enable the alerts, then you send out a mail that maintenance window is complete, or you ask the change management team to close the ticket for you. Then recent challenges, common problems we have already talked about. This is a very nice 1-hour video that we had. Just make sure you go through it. These are the error codes. The 200 series and 300 series are also added. 300 is redirection, 200 is successful. 401, 403 are these things which cannot be displayed, and 501, 500 is internal. Then these are the 5 errors in the environment that we talked about. Remember these errors. Then there are 4 out of memory errors that we talked about. Remember the out of memory errors also in the other environment. Now you will come across a thing called hs.error.pid.log. Somebody might ask you, what is hs.error.pid.log? Now when there is an out of memory error, usually if you enable the heap dump on out of memory error parameter, it generates a log file. That log file is hs.error.pid. So this is a file that got generated upon out of memory error. So when and out of memory error, not just when the out of memory error, but you said if there is out of memory error, then you said generate heap dump. You remember that option, I think. See this is the option that you will enable, -xx heap dump on out of memory error. When you have this error, you basically, and if there is out of memory, the first thing this option does is it takes a heap dump. So let's say now there is out of memory. When there is out of memory, it takes heap dump automatically. Then it generates hs.error. with a process id .log file. So that if there are multiple out of memory errors, each out of memory basically gets a different log file with a different process id. Alright. So that's one thing. Then you talk about null pointer exception. So null pointer exception we talked about, stuck threads we talked about, reason for stuck threads, then how you solve a stuck thread. Then we also talked about how you kill a thread, not the JVM, the thread. Then troubleshooting. The troubleshooting is one thing that we talked in performance tuning. So I'm assuming you will go through what was talked in performance tuning. So you will see general problems that we have already seen. General troubleshooting mechanism, basically you look at the logs, you enable debug, then you take a thread dump, then you take a heap dump, then you take a look at the garbage collection logs. But these are the various things that you see. Then the various logs we have basically 3 types of logs. One is server logs, then console logs, and then access logs. These are logs, and finally domain log is there. How to analyze the log? You just go through the log. That's what is analyzing the log. So make sure you go through each line of the log and see what the problem is. What you do when there is an instance. So based on the instance, so whatever is the instance, you basically raise a ticket about the instance. You assign a priority to that, P1, P2, P3. If it is a P1 ticket, you basically call your team lead first and update that there is a P1 ticket, I'm working on it. Then you start working on it. Then if it is not, you also update other guys, other teams, that there is a P1 going on, so we are working on it. Then you see if you can solve it. Otherwise you take help of your team lead and they will try to solve it, and you open a bridge, and if somebody wants to join the bridge, they will join the bridge. If you need some help, you basically ask other people for help. So you, as a WebLogic expert, you will try to fix the problem, and most of the times the problems get fixed because it's not just you. There are a lot of senior people in your team. Like in a team, you are a 4 years experience guy, there is 8 years experience guy, there is a 10 years experience guy, there is a 15 years experience guy. So one of them will be able to solve the problem. If you don't have anybody, you go ahead basically and support Ryzen SR with Oracle. Alright, now general problems, we talked about this one. Application response slow, so I think we have seen this in 3 points. So you get stuck threads, how you troubleshoot it, and just get a note of this one. Application response slow, what you do. This we talked about it in 3 points already, but this is another this thing. Stuck threads also we talked about in 3 points, but this is again another this thing. Just make a note of these points. Alright, Then shift schedules, team sizes, various other teams we already talked. Shift schedule, we have 3 schedules. So in that we'll see various teams in the project. We have already seen middleware team size. We said 10 offshore, 5 on-site. Shift schedule, we have 3 shifts, morning, afternoon, evening. There is a 1 hour overlap. On-site offshore teams, you have make sure your teams are located in New Jersey and California. Your servers are located in Florida and California. And performance appraisal, this is, you don't have to worry. You just say that performance appraisal is once every year. You will be appraised. This performance appraisal is basically for hikes and bonuses. So just say once in a year we have performance appraisal. Performance appraisal is basically a discussion with our manager, and the manager updates it into the one of the tools, appraisal tool. Just say there is a appraisal tool, so internal appraisal tool. All teams have internal appraisal tools. So appraisal tool basically they ask you, what you did and how you're going to perform next year, whether your performance is good or not, so you have to improve or not, all those things. Usually you just say I'm a good resource, so I usually get 10 to 20% hike every year on a daily basis. Bonuses, let's say there are no bonuses. All right. Then make sure you have a department name. For the department name, so team size 10, 5, support model on-site, offshore. On-site team, just say New Jersey they are located, or wherever your client name is. Just Google your client and find out the on-site team. Offshore team, always say California. Where are your servers located? Servers location, say the production is at Florida. Prod is Florida, and then say DR is at California or Los Angeles. Alright, these are 2 different areas. Then what's the department name? This just say application production support, APS team. That's our name of the team. So application production support. So what's your team lead? Pick up any name. Where is your office building? Make sure you tell a name. Then you'll be maybe asked what's your client name. Say the client is whatever is your client name. Then I think sometimes asked client project name. The client project name, just just give some fancy name. This is your team name, means your company name. You are supporting a client. Let's say you're working for TCS and you're supporting AT&T. AT&T is a client. APS TCS is TCS. Inside TCS you have APS team. So the client project name, you put something like production support, or let's say EBS, enterprise business support. EBS team. Just say your client project name is EBS team. I think a couple of students have raised this question. And another question you get is, are you working with the client or with your company? See, the model is you are hired by a company, you are sent to a client place to work, and that's not the model you are working. You are hired by a company A, you are working in the building of company A. So you will say our client is so and so AT&T, and we are working in our office, so we have a in-house project kind of thing from the client. Then manager round, HR round, you will come across questions like, are you willing to work in night shift? Just say, yeah, I'm willing to work in night shifts. I'm already working in night shifts. Why are you moving out of the current company? When you get this question, always do not blame the current company ever. Always give a personal reason why you are moving. Just say, I want to see better career prospects. I'm already working in the same company for 4 years, so company is small, so I want to get into a bigger company. That's why I'm moving out, and also for more salary. See, salary, saying that I want more salary is not a bad thing. Only thing is I need a decent salary, because, just like any other people, I need better salary. But it does not mean that salary is the only criteria, because the moment you say I am changing for salary, they'll ask you, will you change if somebody else also gives you more salary than this? Then you'll say, no, I want more for at least 4 or 5 years. I want to settle somewhere, I'm getting married or something. I'll just give a personal reason. Personal reasons work always best. Now you have changed several companies. Why? I don't think you will come across this problem. What's your current designation? Is a system analyst. So you want to say you are a system analyst. Alright. That's your designation. Then, is your current company bad? You say, no, it's not a bad company. It's a good company. My manager is good. And never say bad things about managers. Managers are not really good. Even if there's a bad manager, don't say it. You just say he's a nice guy. So he's okay. You don't have to praise. If somebody is bad, you just say it's okay. So I don't have any issues. What's your current project? Make sure you have a fair idea of your current project. Alright. So that's your very, very long project management. This should give you a complete understanding of the project management. Alright, so we'll have go through it one more time. Alright, and then you should be able to finish it fast.